That's what I think. Even I'm on LinkedIn, I told that if you give me 14 hours to cut a tree, I'll sharpen my axe for 13 hours and I'll cut in the last one. We were very relationship driven folks. We did understand the importance of it. We built good relationships with some of our enterprise customers, and they gave us very critical intel at a lot of times. Very large projects for enterprises, which took like a lot of time and a lot of manpower. But
So, hi, good morning, everyone. Today we have sets of amazing, one of the best founders I've come across in the past sometimes, Ujwal and Ravi, who are there with us from the team Zintlr. Hey, Ujwal. Hey, Ravi. How are you guys doing?
hi, Sparsh. I'm doing great. It's very pleasant and to be here, and I'm very fortunate to be on your podcast.
Sure, sure, definitely.
Hi,
We'll
Sparsh.
keep those conversations for the end, definitely. And it's rather my pleasure to have you guys on the podcast that we have. So basically, for the benefits of the guest who might have a little bit, everyone knows Ujwal and Ravi, I'm sure who doesn't know. But for the people who might be viewers for the first time, just to give a background, Ujwal and Ravi have co-founded Zintlr with I think Pranay also, and they have previously built Chili Tray with Ravi from scratch. They started from like a zero during the COVID times when they had zero investment, zero networks, and they were just like people building things from the scratch. Then, based on that, moving forward, they strive for greatness in a lot of works that they have done. And the usual on the first hand, he has built a lot of large communities. He has made a lot of open source contributions and in the research sector. And also, while securing deals or talking with people, he is very proficient or experienced when it comes to securing Fortune 500 companies and well known startups. Ravi, on the other hand, amongst us is a gold medalist from NIT KP. I think he's the only one amongst three of us who is a gold medalist. He has built and empowered various student communities. He has trained professionals, students and professionals, thousands of students and professionals when it comes to the field of AI. He, with Ujwal, they have earlier co-founded Chili Tray, and where they have executed more than 100 projects in the for the tech enterprises. Ravi has also been recognized by the Prime Minister of India for the Smart City project. So I think I might have missed few things. Maybe Ujjwal, would you like to say some of the things so that people can know you better?
Thank you for the introduction, Sparsh. Roughly, I mean, we are all builders. Me, Ravi, and Pranay, while we are childhood friends, we also love building solutions and solutions which are very different, which are not ordinary. I mean, we just want to build something which are very different. Our journey, of course, started when we were in, college. All the three of us were in different colleges and spread across country. But then COVID happened. Everyone got to come back to Bangalore, and I think it was day one of COVID. The lockdown was imposed, and I called these guys up that, hey guys, I know something which can earn us money. And I mean, we were students back then, so typically as a student, you are always looking to get something extra because your pocket money is very little. So that was the initial motivation. While everything we did before that as well, I mean, even in our college, we built a lot of communities. We love to help people because we got a lot of help back from community, and it was very interesting and nice to help people. COVID happened, we started with project. I mean, our first project that we landed was as little as $200, and we spent like 2 3 weeks to execute it, and it was like a lot of money for us because we had not seen that kind of money. But eventually, it got serious, and we started doing some really large projects. I mean, we started executing very large projects for enterprises, which took like lot of time and a lot of manpower, but yeah, I mean, that's how we built our services. And all the time, since we were not sales guys, we were engineers who were building things, we realized that there was a huge problem in sales that you cannot see conventionally. And that led us to, building Zintlr. Quick introduction. I know I just digressed a bit, but quick introduction. So Zintlr is a, B2B SaaS tool, which helps you with a lot of sales intelligence so that you can close your deal faster, better, and with a lot more efficiency and conversion rates. You can find intelligence of all the decision makers and companies globally. Yeah, that's about our company. I think you have given a decent introduction about us, Sparsh. If Ravi wants to add something.
I believe majorly everything has been covered up by Sparsh and Ujwal, so I think that's it.
Sure, sure. Definitely, that's very nice and grounded of you, Ujwal, to give to showcase like that sort of thing. But I think like you have already achieved a lot of limelight, and a lot of people do change after it. But it's like a pretty mature of yourself to be grounded and saying, explaining things in that well in that sense. So one of the things, as if when you started talking about the idea of Zintler, can you tell us about what inspired you to start Zintler? I guess you have done a lot of works earlier, but like why Zintler, or maybe how the idea come about?
Okay, even before I talk about Zentler, let me talk about an ideology that we follow. So we have this ideology and it has benefited us like anything. So, this is our inside mantra. So we believe in doing things that are not happening. So all the three of us, for that matter, keep doing things consistently that don't happen. This is one simple thing we follow, that we keep doing it until the point it starts to happen. So if something is tough, or if something is, I mean, if it was easy, everyone would have done it. So if it is tough, then we must do it. That was first thing. And second thing, we have a thought process that anything we do it very differently. And we are very truest to this particular intention. I mean, even if I do it differently and it's not up to that quality, it's fine. But whatever we are executing, all the three of us, or the whole team at this moment per se, we ensure that it happens differently, and we know that over a long term it is going to produce very, very high quality result for us and something very different. So these were the truest intentions that we had since the very beginning, from day one of business. Of course, a lot of other things. As I told, we're engineers, and we didn't know how sales happen. We had our own unconventional methods which were working, and it was working very well for us. And then we spoke to a lot of sales coaches, a lot of people, and then COVID happened. Sales was at slump. People were not able to meet each other. That was, I think, a changing time. And we realized that you need to look at sales from a different perspective. And we had never done like a formal sales. I mean, we never had like a CRM subscription where we are creating pipelines and then we are, calculating the deal value. And we didn't have like a formal team of account executives, SDRs, etc. I mean, back then I didn't even know what these meant, right? So we wanted an unconventional approach, and since people told that it's easy to build things but you can't sell, so and it's getting tough to sell out there, so you're like, all right, we need to do something in this domain about which we know the least, but we have a different and fresh perspective. So let's do something very differently. And at the same point in time, something very significant was happening in our services. We were competing with industry giants. I mean, people who were bidding along with us for some projects were in hundreds of billions of dollars, and yet we were awarded some projects. And the one reason behind that was that we executed things very differently, and people like that approach. One, two, we had a lot of intelligence from inside. I mean, since we were very relationship driven folks, we did understand the importance of it. We built good relationships with some of our enterprise customers, and they gave us very critical intel at a lot of times. They told us, this is how this particular decision maker behaves, or this particular decision maker gets happy by this. This is what don't talk to them about. And we had a lot of intel that helps us close. And we realized, oh damn, if we could package this intel and give it to everyone out there on a large scale, how would it happen? And when we had that kind of ideas, there were not a single tool that had envisioned the same thing. So we didn't have a reference point. So we started doing a lot of research. Of course, the initial journey was slow, but we are very clear that, hey, let's do intelligence, let's package it for large number of people, and let's do it very differently, and let's keep doing it until it happens. I mean, that's what Zintler stands for. If you see, Zintler is Z factor for intelligence and recommendations, and Z factor because people ask, hey, what's your X factor, and we want it to be very different. So
Oh
you're like,
wow.
okay.
I never thought about that thing in that particular way. It's really nice to know about. I know the name for the past couple of years, but never thought about it. It's what it
Yeah,
means. So
yeah,
you
so
so
I
yeah,
mean,
everything
yeah,
for what you do is so much thought about that there's a Z factor to it.
Correct. So, I mean, Z is the highest alphabet, and you don't have alphabets beyond that. So, like, no, not X factor, it's Z factor. And also because it sounded cool, and you needed cool names to, succeed in a startup. At least that's what we thought back then. But I hope people like the name Zentler because a lot of people, are liking it. But yeah, this is a small
Sure.
anecdote of
So,
the
so one
idea.
of the things like when you manage, when you said recently that you face a lot of challenges, a lot of times you do not earlier. I think for all of us, at least for when we start coding, we do not do things in a very structured fashion. But when you go to the industries or when you become professional, in a lot of good companies or a lot of good domains, you cannot be unprofessional and you have to learn those things. And what happens is you unlearn some of the things and then you relearn a couple of things and then you learn new things. Based on that, you keep on iterating. I would say I see it more as an iterative process, which is
Correct.
required. So, but you said one of the things that a lot of times you are very consistent and persistent with the goal that you have. So, in your journey, I believe there would be a lot of maybe setbacks, a lot of challenges you have faced since starting the Zintler. So, maybe one or two experiences that you would like to share with us.
Right. Again, so me and Ravi, and even Pranay for that matter, followed physics like anything, right? I mean, physics, math, we were very ardent students. So we know that the nature of times are also like sine waves. You look at the history of the world. Sorry, I'm dragging this question into the history and philosophy, but if you look at it, you'll see that, there are companies which have gone up and then they have come down and then they have come up. And that's a constant. I mean, change is a constant. And we believe that we need to consistently keep learning and iterating. And I think nobody better than Ravi for that matter. The level of learning and unlearning this person does. Till date, I am in awe of how Ravi and Pranay operate. And sometimes I also feel it's a stroke of luck that I found such co-founders anyway. So we believe that someone a very successful entrepreneur had once told me that well, how many years it takes to convert a barren land to a very fertile, like a high productivity land. And I was like, how many? It might take a couple of years. He's like, no, it takes 7 years. And I was like, oh. And then he's like, and then the problem mistake with entrepreneurs is that they wake up and they want an overnight success, but it takes like 7 years for a land to be converted. In the same way, it takes 7 years for an ordinary person to become a successful entrepreneur. And he gave me hundreds of examples, and we looked at the life story of so many entrepreneurs, and we saw that it did. And since I told if it was easy, everyone would do it. And we know that it has been tough. There were a lot of times when we were cheated of money so much. I mean, we literally went back to zero. Everything that we earned, we invested that to build some project, and then that person might not have paid, or we got cheated in equity a couple of times. And this happened again and again because we did take a lot of emotional decisions. But there were a couple of times when we came at absolute zero. I mean, rock bottom, and we knew that, oh, damn, next month we don't know what to do. But we were very persistent, and as I told, we believe in the idea of sine wave. So if you have come down, now it's time to go up. So
So I really like that thing. One thing I would like to ask here is, this thing I've realized recently with me. A lot of times the best comes out of me when I'm at the rock bottom or when I'm pushed beyond the limits. So do you also feel the same, or you are like, good days can also help you grow, and bad days you do not require?
I think Ravi, would you want to answer this?
I think we should always be prepared for the bad days for sure. Even when we build products, say for example, generally people only focus on building good things so that things are going well. But we also have a metric where we try to do the risk assessment and do a proper planning. What if in case something goes off? What if in case this particular features breaks? How do we ensure that customer experience is not going bad? So all these small things are something that we really take care of because we have learned in our journey. Any good going day can turn into a bad day, and you need to be prepared for it. So in general, we are prepared, but anyhow, we are always ready for challenges, and that is what makes us founders altogether. So if something is popping up, we sit together, we understand how we can solve it, and since we are a very community-driven person, we have a lot of people who advise us, who gives us a lot of experiences that helps us move pretty fast and resolve conflicts, or probably resolve challenges with these that other people might not be able to resolve. Yeah, so I think we are slightly lucky with a lot of aspects.
Yeah, I think we are three founders. One of them just loves good days. That's me. On a good day, I'm a lot more excited. And then Pranay loves, keeping the balance and average balance days when he keeps us balanced. And then Ravi just loves bad days because the way he fights back, the fight back stories inspire the whole team. So, but I think all of them are important. And I think a founder equally, at any point in time, it's like one by third divide of all three kind of days. So, yeah.
Right.
Mhm. Earlier, before starting anything of my own, I used to think like being a founder is cool. Then I started being a founder, and I realized the challenges that you face are only faced by a couple of people, or maybe founders or the people in that industry. And I thought like this was very hard. So I started back going to the normal job that we have. And then I realized this is also hard, but the sets of challenges that you face, other people have also faced. And then I think a couple of years before when I started this crypto pool company, at that time I was very seriously into building stuff, and I realized the real challenges that an entrepreneur faces. It's of such big mammoth sizes. A lot of times you might not even find people who have faced those sort of challenges, let alone the advice. And every day you wake up and there are new sets of challenges. But one thing that really drives you is if you are able to solve at least some of those, you the confidence that you have, the skills that you have built is like unbeatable, I'd say. And
Totally.
That is
yes,
totally
yes.
Yeah.
agreeable. You have like 20 set of things, 20 challenges, but if you're able to even solve one of them every day, you'll be like, yeah, I can do this. You'll feel motivated to move forward, and eventually everything will be resolved.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
There was
definitely.
You
a
need to keep
graduate
trying.
who reached out to me. I mean, there was an undergrad student who reached out to me, and he's like, "Hey, Ujwal, I want to be a founder." I'm like, "Wow, very good. Go ahead. Nothing like it." And then he's like, "What should I do?" I'm like, "You need to do anything and everything." He's like, "Okay, so how would the JD look like as a founder? It must be very cool, like walking in the office and then you can ask your employees to play a music for you." And I'm like, no, there's no JD as a founder. Probably, in our starting days, we hosted like our clients in office with a lot of attitude, and then on a Sunday morning when nobody is in the office, we were also cleaning the office. So as a founder, you're doing anything and everything, and I think that's what life and entrepreneurship is about. You need to be ready for anything and everything, and that's the beauty of it, I think.
Yes, yes, definitely. And what happens is, at least even for me, I've realized I've built the skill of if I'm faced with a lot of challenges, for most of the people, what happens, they start panicking about that thing. But for me, I think like maybe this is a boon or bane, I am not sure. But a lot of times I do not panic in the sense of if something happened, it happened. Now it's your job. If you can solve it. If you cannot, do something else. But contemplating
Absolutely.
about the situation, like I think I've left it way back then. So what about you guys? Like when I believe you guys also face a lot of challenges, and what happens? What's your rebound state, or you stay in that state for some time?
So two quick mantras, right? And I think this is I mean, this has helped us like anything. So Ravi can also add up later. But two things that I see. First, of course, you told not to panic. Yes. I mean, it's always about the reaction, how you react. And you react on it like, oh, nothing has happened. And after you don't react, you write down the problem, you break that problem into the smallest possible problems, like so small that you can solve that smallest bits easily. So most of your time you spend on your paper, right? I mean, that's what I think. Even Abraham Lincoln had told that if you give me 14 hours to cut a tree, I'll sharpen my axe for 13 hours and I'll cut in the last hour. And I think that's what you need to do by breaking the problem so much, and then you delegate or you solve yourself. And that's something that a lot of people do. But second bit that I talk about, the secret bit, um, the community factor, right? So I have built a lot of communities, been part of a lot of communities. I just love speaking to people. And I can't tell you how much this has helped me. And every time you face a problem, you strategize, you break it down, etc., etc., etc. You do that and you remain calm like nothing has happened. And you believe internally that nothing has happened because something bigger could happen. And then you just need to call up people. I mean, I have called you up so many times, Sparsh, and I call up so many people in the whole community, and I just speak to them about things. And people have so different perspectives, experiences. Some of them have themselves come into the place and they have solved it. And they have solved it a lot more efficiently and beautifully than even I could think of in a lot of times. So I think one, the structure and how you perceive the attitude, and second is the community bit. these both have been, I mean, I have solved 100% of my problems till now. And, we embrace problems. So, yeah, that's how I take it. Ravi, do you have
I
anything
think
additional to add?
it's very simple as Ujjwal said. Right planning, breaking down the problem into smaller chunks. As we need to be calm. You also asked other question, right? What is the JD of a founder? JD of a founder is to solve problems because that is what we need to do always. Maybe we cannot directly solve, but we need to strategize it on how it's going to be solved, and probably then put it in the right order and start getting onto it. I think that has helped us. We put everything down on paper, we plan it, and we take a lot of advisors. We are very fortunate with the community aspect, which Rutul mentioned, and everything doesn't feel like a problem. It feels more like an adventure journey to us.
Sure, sure, definitely. I also see it through that lens only. So one of the things is at the end of the day, we might learn a lot of things, we might do a lot of techs, but what we are essentially building is we are becoming a better problem solver. So the techniques that you
Correct.
just mentioned are like similar to, it's not sector agnostic, like it might be a little bit, but in general, it's how we solve on any problems. So once you're a founder, you become a very good problem solver. Even for the thing,
Right.
and there's one bad thing about it, even if it's not your problem or something, you just get into that habit of solving those problems. So one of the things that as you also mentioned that community aspect, and I also realized like a couple of years back in life. So I was reading this book by Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, and in that he mentions that the first level that we have of dependence is being dependent when we are children. We are being taken care of by the elderly that we have for the resources that are there because we are not so much resourceful that we can survive off our own. But there comes a stage in life when we become independent. That's the second level of dependence, in which what happens is maybe a lot of you, us, and our friends are like, they're independent of anyone. Like, if no one feeds them, they are self sufficient to provide the resources for them or live happily. But he says there's also a third level, which is the highest level, and that comes by the state of interdependent. So it's like I can be an expert in one field and you are an expert at other field. So the
Right.
maximum success or maximum benefits happens in life when we are being interdependent on one another, so that we can grow ourselves exponentially in a way of helping others and taking help from others. And I think a lot of people, they just get stuck at the independent stage. Or for a lot of people, what happens is they do not do their homework. They try to directly jump from dependent stage to interdependent stage. And that thing doesn't work that well. People think it would work out, but it doesn't work out. As Ujwal rightly mentioned a couple of minutes ago, that he's involved in building relationships with the communities that are there. And I think that is something that sets us apart, that makes us interdependent so that we can reap the benefits of communities or the work that we have done to the maximum level. So, Ujwal and to Ravi, both of you, I have this one curious question in mind that I wanted to ask. So, you have seen a
Please.
lot of good days, bad days, you have been rock bottom, and you have put in a lot of efforts, I can see. So, recently, I think you guys have been in a limelight where you have been getting a lot of things. That's what at least outside people, folks who see. So, how do you stay focused despite the attention and recognition that you get?
I think we see this just as a small part of the whole journey that we want to go through. In fact, this is a very early starting point. So it's just about your perception and your intention. So in our perception, we have certain goals, and we again, as Ravi told, we break down those goals into the smallest goals. I mean, at so much level that we maintain a sheet where we have all major events that has to happen over the year, and then we have another part wherein what happens monthly, and the whole team follows this, right? And then we break that down to a 15-day bi-weekly that our whole team does. So the whole team sits together every 15 days on a Friday, and we discuss what happened over the last 15 days, what are we planning over the next 15 days, what was the activities that didn't get done, and why it didn't get done, and so on and so forth. And then we break that down to a daily level task. So you see, we have built like a funnel of whole year to a day-to-day execution, and we just take that one day at a time, and then we sit and envision how it has to be on an annual level. And does it sit with our culture, with our values, with our actual vision and goal? So we sort of break it down one, and I think we have still not achieved enough. I mean, I think we are not even 1% there. So we just have to, remain true to the fact and, believe rightly that there's a lot more that needs to be done. We have not made enough change because we believe that either solve a small problem for large number of people or a large problem for small number of people. Again, we have read this, of course, and then there are ambitious folks like my co-founders Ravi and Pranay who believe in solving large problems for large number of people. So we have a lot to do. So I think this is just the starting
Yeah,
point.
basically, we don't settle and comfort ourselves with any recognition or anything such. We are always on our toes. We have very, very strong, aggressive roadmaps to an extent that you might say that we are operating like the day one. The day one, as we had a very aggressive roadmap working for 12, 13 hours a day, to bare minimum, we would be working on the same capacity every weekend as well. And we ensure that product is getting mature, people are getting more value out of it. And once we realize something got stable, our mind start toggling into solving another problem with the same tool and how we can expand and help the entire broken workflow problem. Because we see in sales industry there's a very big problem of having different 10 tools. A salesperson would be using probably a different tool for prospecting, a different tool for engagement, or a different tool to track analytics. So we start understanding that okay, to make the entire experience good for a user, to make it very premium, we need to solve all these problems. But we can't solve it in one go for sure. So we started with one problem, we made it to the best of its capacity, then the second one, then the third one, and slowly we start making it all up. So we are always on our toes. I don't think we'll be settling down for upcoming next 10 years for sure.
Sure, sure. That's definitely very inspiring to hear. I guess most of our viewers also think the same. So one of the things like we have talked so much about problems, problem solving and everything. But at least in so as you mentioned, like the life or the journey is more of like a sinusoidal wave rather than being a flat line and with a couple of bumps. What do you think like across the journey has been one of the best moments when you felt like, oh man, whatever it is, but it's good. Like, can you relate to one or two instances? I
Yeah,
believe
there
there
are
would be
so
many,
many
but
of
like
them.
one or two, the best
Yeah.
ones that you think.
Best ones, I
I can
think.
probably tell you one of the recent one, which is very clear to me. So we were having our sales campaign, the first sales campaign. We were very excited about it, and probably like it was a year back or something. And we prepared well, but right, it is very general to see the things going off on the launch day. As soon as we went live, the entire payment gateway went down. The server was on toss because of the huge traffic coming on the website. We didn't expect so much of love by people coming on our website. So it was a very odd time where probably we were expecting sales, but people not able to buy altogether. People are raising query that the site is not functional. So all of us just calmed ourselves down. We decided it should be a 30-minute sprint and we need to close this. We broke the problem. Okay, server scalability is one issue, payment gateway breaking down is one issue, and we identified all the major thing. And we called our team on Saturday and we asked them, please onboard and let's start solving this. We have 30 minutes of time, and we started solving it. And after solving it, everything was smooth, and we did an amazing sales campaign for the next 5 to 7 days. It was one of
Yeah.
the best experience where
That
we could have
moment.
probably had zero
Yeah.
revenue from the sales campaign, but we ensured that we get a crazy revenue out of it. So
So
that
the
was one of
moment
the
first
notable
sale
thing.
happened, and then the notification comes, oh, you have like $600 in your account. And then after 2 minutes, you have another $600, and then you have another $1,000, $1,200. And then you go home and you're like, oh, damn, everything I was doing for last 1, 2 years, or whatever time, people now want to pay money to buy this. That was one moment. There were other moments also. We did like a product hunt launch and we got a roaring momentum and we like came up number one. And the whole team was together and we're like, oh, this is worth it. So first sales, this, and then eventually even raising investment. There came a point where we had so many options and everyone wanted to put money. And it felt like, oh, wow, the three of us started together.
Like this kind of things can really happen. Oh, am I living in a dream or something? When the people around you might be saying, like, even thinking for a smaller amount of money, and you are like, I might get more money in this round, or maybe something that a lot of people might earn their in their whole lifetime. So, not from a perspective of the people thinking differently, but it's like from how big then you're thinking, at least for me, it becomes bigger. If people can think of 1 million, I can think of five then. And it eventually, like we are all humans and it goes on a hedonic treadmill. But at a lot of times, you just feel like you get to the next level of your thinking, right? The foundations break at that point.
Yeah, and you get to meet some amazing people who have been there, done that, done some amazing things. And the whole idea that, okay, you three of you just thought there was a problem and you started, and now so many such greats want to back you. The whole idea and feeling of that is enough. I mean, we were like 5x oversubscribed or something
Right.
back then, and but some amazing people look to back us, and they are still with us, and it sometimes it feels like a dream world, right?
And the
So yeah.
most important thing over here, a lot of founders we were talking to, they were like the sentiment around fundraising is very bad at the moment. There's a winter season going on, and it was all like we are talking to people and understanding about the fundraising process. We got to know that it is going to be difficult, but we were very optimistic about that. Our product on day one got oversold, so maybe let's try it out. And we started talking, and to our luck, it was 5x oversubscribed in a month. We had
Sure,
to
sure.
literally sit together and decide whom to get and whom to not get because it's not possible to get everyone in one round.
I remembered a small quote related to this, like someone told me a couple of weeks before that we all strive for successes in our life and in everything that we do. But unexpected triumphs like these are what makes life truly worthwhile.
So there was this very famous movie, and in the end, he says, I'm sure everyone would have watched this. I'm not taking the name, but he says, this this very moment of my life is called as happiness.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
just for that one line, we are running, and I think we just love what we are doing. So
Sure, sure, definitely. So I think like we have talked a lot of things about like a lot of learnings. I got to learn a lot of things from you guys. But like, what exactly if you try to see 1 year, 2 year, 5 years ahead? What are your future plans and advice? Where do you see Zintler or Zintler progressing or our own careers progressing 5, 10 years down the line? Like I know like you guys are there to conquer the world, but just in a specific sense, if you would have thought something.
right. I think we want to create a huge difference in sales intelligence as a area. Again, because last 1 or 2 decades were the decades of CRM and organizing everything. Your whole sales process was unorganized and everything. And then the Salesforce and HubSpot of the world came, which have organized that. And the next bit is now people have places where they are organized and everything, but they don't have intel about those people. And this intel is going to make or break your deals, or play, or we want to create an unfair advantage for companies and people who have that intel that we give against people who don't, and then these guys end up creating and closing more and more deals and create more and more values for themselves and the world, right? And that's the vision that, I mean, so we take a small thing at a time. So start with, say, very small part of sales intelligence and become like a market leader there. And then take such small things together and then eventually look to become market leader in the sales intelligence space and then the sales enablement space and then go on. I think that's where we envision like small problems over 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, and then combine that to a 3 year level and then a 5 year level. Individually, our careers, I think we have never thought of it on an individual level, of course, because I mean, just create
So
value and keep
also
growing.
talk about the overall vision about Zintlr. It's about creating a new category altogether. It's sales strategy. So there's no such category of sales strategy in the at the moment anywhere. So we would be the we would want to become a platform where people can make those strategies on how to convert your prospect and get there and close the deal faster. So that is what would create an unfair advantage to them and would probably add a value to their overall sales processes.
So
So that
one
is
of
what we
the quick things that I would like to maybe talk with about is nowadays these days there's a lot of AI involvement and technological advancements in I think across every sectors and definitely some of these might be in the sales ecosystem also. So how do you factor that thing that do you see the AI would have a lot of impact or it still has to get matured
We
on that
are
front?
riding on the top of that wave. So, as I told you, change is constant in the beginning of our discussion. So, we believe that you solve technological problems with technology, other problems with technology. So new technology is coming is a technology problem for an existing company. So either you're on top of the wave or you're not there. So we are riding that wave. We are actually fortunate that this whole AI wave has come in, and the whole innovations that's coming with this. We're actually leveraging that to build on top of it a lot of things that we are planning. So that we can grow faster. So we had a vision, and then this happened. So again, I see this as a stroke of luck that this has happened, and we are at the intersection and then the exact right time to
Also,
do
you
what
can
we
say
are
we are
doing.
lucky in a way because all
Yeah.
three of us are engineers majorly, and I have been educating a lot of people around AI in 2021 and 2020, and all
I
of
was
it is
working with Google
coming
in that
in.
team. Yeah. So anyway,
So
this happened.
all the learnings and everything is coming into enforcement, and we are able to make the maximum out of it at the moment.
Sure, sure, definitely. So, I think like I got to learn a lot of things from the experiences of you guys. I think like, for the past, sometimes I was just immersed in this sea of knowledge with you guys. But for the viewers who are watching us for the maybe the first time, would you like to give maybe one piece of advice from both of you that you think has been your mantra, or maybe some intel that you can give that can change other people's life?
Do things differently.
I would say whatever you're doing, do with excellence. Excellence is missing. People do a lot of things, but without excellence, it wouldn't be creating any impact altogether.
Sure, sure, definitely. And maybe one of the things what happens is as we are startup founders, or maybe we are doing a lot of things in the entrepreneurial space. A lot of times you have been in this journey for quite a while, but a lot of people they think it's cool. They just go away because it's not as cool as it looks on the outside. So for those people, what would you like to say for the people who really wanted to jump into this game?
Uh, I mean, don't jump into it if it looks cool to you. Jump into it if you genuinely want to do this for like next 10 years. Like 10 years later, be ready for like a, even probably like a, hair fall. Okay, this was a pun, but in general, I mean, do it if you genuinely see that you can do it over 10 years. There will be a lot of family problems, there will be a lot of personal problems, you might lose a lot of friends, uh, you might end up to becoming zero, and if you're not scared of going back to zero again and again and bouncing back again and again, if you like turbulence, then do this and be ready for like changes.
Yeah, the fearless attitude will help you drive through.
It's like something similar to like when you start doing some adventure sports or something. If you're a guy who is just maybe traveler who sits in the cars and just take pictures and go, then maybe it's not a journey for you. But if you're a guy who really loves adventure and is adventure seeking, then at least you'll get adventure. Most probably you will get success if you go in for the long term. But like the adventure, if you are in for the adventure part, then I think there are not many things that are worthwhile as to doing these sorts of things.
Perfectly
So
summed up.
yes, yes. So definitely, I really enjoyed having this conversation with you both. Like, thank you for being on podcast on this morning for us. I think I got to learn a lot of things, and definitely the viewers that are watching us might get learn a lot of things. People who are on the verge of maybe the budding entrepreneurs of a country and people globally would really be motivated by what you just told about. And what you just gave was like nuggets of wisdom, which you do not get before trying out banging your head for a couple of years. And if it really helps someone, like it can really change how people solve their problems. So yeah, it was really my pleasure to have you guys on this podcast, the Innovators Path, and it was really indeed a wonderful conversation. And I hope like to call you again in a future series of podcasts when we meet again.
Big thanks for the time today, Sparsh. I think it's always very pleasant speaking to you. And I'm very happy to be part of this podcast. I love everything you do. I love listening to, I mean, I listened to the previous podcast as well. Would love to be back here and discuss a lot about problem solutions and journeys. But thank you for having me. Big thanks for the time and, all the efforts this morning.
Thank you, Sparsh. It was really good having the conversation and going through all the journey flows that we had been through while talking about questions and answering them. We would definitely come back with a lot of new set of stories, new set of problems that we have been solving, and probably a lot of success stories. We are going very aggressive on GTM strategies at the moment. So yeah,
Sure,
I'll
sure.
see. Yeah, it was a very pleasant conversation. Thank you for
Uh,
having us.
Definitely a pleasure to have you guys, and thank you very much. Goodbye to everyone.
Good day. Bye.